And
Really?
that's why I have to ask you, now is the time?
Now is the best time.
This is a really nice topic. The top 3 light effects in the parks. The whole idea here is that we're not talking about special effects. There's even the nuances of the lighting design that can, affect the whole experience. Collin, you're the first one.
Okay, so this was my one cheat for the night to take you guys out to the West Coast. And it's just because it doesn't exist on the East Coast. And I really think it should. And I think it should sooner rather than later because it's probably very possible. But it's when you're in Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at Disneyland, when you go into I guess it's the blasting mine area, you have a special effect lighting effect where ours just kind of makes noise and has some flashing lights. Theirs actually has an entire projection overlay with a smoke and fog effect. So it looks like the mine's catching on fire. There's burst all around you. And if you've not experienced it or don't expect it and you've ridden the Walt Disney World one, it is very different. And it's kind of shocking, but in a really good way. It's very authentic and it feels very real. It's almost like there's a warmth to it, even though there really is no fire inside of that. If you get the chance to go out to Disneyland, definitely make it a point to ride Thunder Mountain. It's actually quite different than ours, and well worth a visit, well worth a ride through. Even if you think, hey, we have one of those on the East Coast, definitely ride the West Coast version.
Jason, now it's your turn.
My number 3 is taking us to either coast. This happens on. I can't say that it happens in Disneyland Paris or anywhere else, but at the Space Mountain in both Walt Disney World and Magic Kingdom, as well as Disneyland, you have there's actually 2 different tunnels, but this picture is of I believe the first, right? When you're just as you're about to kind of go up the hill. That star tunnel I love, or not star tunnel, whatever you call it. It's the light tunnel. People call it different things. Some people call it the blue tunnel, the blue light tunnel, the light tunnel, the blue whatever that is.
Flashes and makes a lot of noise.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And this picture was actually taken back in 2012 during the very first 24-hour event on the leap year. And I just love that effect. I love it. Just gets you ready, and also it I think it does enough. The flashy does enough to your eyes to make everything seem even darker. When you're about to go in. So I love it. The Halloween overlay in Disneyland is amazing.
Oh, really?
Oh,
heard the Star Wars one they do out there is supposed to be really cool too.
That I've never experienced, but the Halloween overlay is just fantastic.
My number 3, it is actually a good example of what I said. Is the production and the designing, and it's a combination of projection, effect, animatronics, and lights. LED lights and fiber optics is beautiful. It is actually in the Frozen attraction in the Norway Pavilion, and it's what we call the Let It Go moment. And I have a little video to show, and you're gonna understand. It's pretty quick. Let's move ahead. Let's go to Collins for his second one.
So this one is Pandora Waterfalls. The Pandora Waterfalls, it's kind of that transition from sunset to darkness because the lights come on in the water areas themselves. And it creates kind of a unique effect. It almost looks like icing kind of running off the hills and little valleys and little crevices around through Pandora as a whole. And there's little unexpected things, like you've got the electronic plants and things like that. So the lighting there really makes a huge difference to not only that's not even a word, but I want to say like
anyway,
exemplify.
Because they make up words in Pandora anyway.
That's
you might
true.
as well join
they
them.
do. Exactly. I just come up with my own series of words.
Right.
But there's something about it that adds so much life to that area, and even the sounds change in the area to kind of complement what you're seeing around you. And it's one of the few places in Walt Disney World that it really does change drastically from day to night. And the waterfalls very much feel like they're otherworldly in a strange place, or like in a different planet. And it's the only place on property that I think you can see something quite like this. And I'm a little biased because in photos, if you do long exposures in this land, it's quite the chore, but they turn out really smooth as a result. because it's just a trickle of water that comes down through the hills there. So
My number 2 actually takes me to my number 1 attraction, which, as you guys know, is Tower of Terror. I adore this attraction for so many reasons, which I won't get into tonight. But one of them is the lighting effects throughout the attraction, including the queue. The queue would not be nearly as spooky if it wasn't for the lighting in that room. However, the part that I really think is fantastic in terms of the lighting effects are on that 5th dimension level, which I don't have any pictures or video of because you're not supposed to do that, so I don't. And as you guys know, I'm a rule follower. But if you've been on the attraction, you know what I'm talking about. It's that part where you get this sort of last part of the story, and then the elevator doors close. You go up another level. The elevator doors open, and then you begin to you see all sorts of interesting things and stuff like the special effects that are happening, and then you move forward through the hallway, and you're like, what is happening? And this doesn't happen in Disneyland. And well, number one, they don't have Tower of Terror there anymore, but it didn't happen even when they did. They just didn't have this part of the attraction. And I think it's what makes it so special, because you're like, I have my elevator. How's my elevator moving? How's my elevator moving and turning and twisting? So good. And the light, it's all about the lighting. It's all about the lighting. And then you get to that one part where the door opens, it's like that, like the light. Oh, I love it.
Let me go to my number 2. And for this number 2, I do have a video. What I want to explain is that this is a good example of lighting design using to enhance the experience in a way that become totally different. And actually, I'm talking about Savi's Workshop. And before, when we did the top 3 stores inside the park, I even tried to consider that Savi's could be on the list, but Savi's is not actually a store. Savi's is an experience. So the whole thing is so amazing. And I like to say it's probably one of the best experience in Walt Disney World. So let me show you, and you're going to understand how the lights help the whole experience. Take a look.
The lightsaber has been wielded by some of our greatest heroes and darkest enemies. His apprentice Anakin Skywalker, and so we hear, Rey. Green, Qui-Gon Jinn, Ahsoka Tano, Master Yoda himself, and of course, Luke Skywalker. Violet, rare and beautiful, like the one wielded by Mace Windu. Red, by many, it is called the color of power. We seem to have got off of that hitch, so we can now continue on to the next stage of the what's happening.
Well done. Chosen approach with skill you have. Chosen with heart. When joined, they are much more they will become. For you, it is time.
Master Yoda, it is indeed time to take our first step. The final stage is upon us. The bond between Saber and Builder is about to be forged. Place a hand on the hilt of your saber, and together we will activate. Come forward, Builders, and activate. Now go ahead, Builders. Raise those lightsabers. Builders, you have all built lightsabers, just like the Jedi and Sith who came before you.
I was
You ran out of
I was sobbing. I was sobbing when I did that. But you know, that's the whole thing. The changing of colors, the way that they designed the whole thing, the whole experience, it is mind blowing. It is, and so the lighting design in that experience is like 90% of the whole thing is perfect. Collin's number 1.
This one is the most obscure one on my list, and I was shocked when I said this because Carlos actually agreed with me on it. That it's a really unique lighting setup, and it's actually in New Fantasyland as you approach Gaston's Tavern. that whole area over in there, as day kind of transitions into night, it gets, in an odd way, the space kind of warms up because there's the warm lighting. It's also backlit, and then the fountain lights up as well. And in the distance, if you look from the other direction, you can also see the castle in the distance. And around Christmas, when they had the projections on the castle, the lighting lines up perfectly with the back of the fountain here. So the combination of all that, and then you have the water pouring out and the kind of blue lighting accents, which typically are kind of frustrating for photographers in the Disney space because they light everything with blue light for some unknown reason. But it really sets up quite nicely. The lamps have a little flicker to them. It's just a really warm and welcoming atmosphere. One of my favorite lands to kind of explore at night because it's very quiet back there because Gaston's Tavern isn't open all that late. You got the store there as well, but there's just kind of a quieter feel back in there. And all those attractions are kind of, the lines taper off and the queues kind of taper off, minus Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in the late evenings. And it just has a really nice feel to it. You can sit back there, enjoy a few moments, relax a little bit, and just kind of enjoy the views as the castle's in the distance. It's just kind of a nice spot.
Jason, let's go to your number one.
I think mine might be shocking in terms of it being my number one, but honestly, and you guys were there when we were on the WDW radio podcast episode about the one with Walt. And you remember there was that question that Lou asked, which was if there was one attraction you could show Walt, kind of maybe show off technology or whatever, what would it be? And at least one of the ones I picked was this one, which is the Epcot experience.
Yep.
Which I don't even think technically counts as an attraction, but I think it is so masterfully done in terms of how they use I don't want to say a simple technology, but a technology that isn't brand new anymore, but by using models, the way that they make the room come alive and make every experience unique because you can't look at everything. You can't see everything happening. Like the screen that surrounds you in the room and everything happening in the middle. If only we had a video to show people what I'm saying. Oh, you do? Yeah, that's fantastic.
Let's go to the video.
We call it
interactive trail to explore where water is alive and waiting to play.
Dude, I literally have goosebumps.
Yep.
Like right now, just listening to I love it, and I know Collin said he doesn't really kind of go there anymore.
Yeah,
dude,
I went once or twice.
You gotta go again. It's magical every time. Every time, I love it. I know they've scaled it back because it to reflect changes that have been made.
Just
in the planning.
Yeah,
but it's so. Forget all of those things. I think forever it'll still for me occupy a space like in the top echelon of what things that Disney has done. This just beautiful way of showing what's coming next and getting people excited about it, and the music, the effort they put into this. I mean, if everything they're doing in Epcot has that spirit in it, in terms of what they did to produce this, it's going to be incredible.
So let's go to my first one, and my first probably is one of the oldest one there. Actually, it's not there, and I hope that I'm not saying it's not there anymore. I hope that it's going to be back. But it's in Epcot, and I'm just talking about one of the simple things that we have there, and I know that is one of the favorite for a lot of people, and it's the little fiber optic sidewalk effects that you have both sides in the east and the west side. But in the east, you have those formations. You used to have that, and for me, that is for a long time, for a really long time, it's one of the my favorite things in Walt Disney World. Epcot is my favorite park, and that during that time of day when you're leaving and you face that sidewalk was always amazing. And I really wish that after we have the whole refurbish and the whole transformation of Future World, going to this what's supposed to be the celebration area, that we're gonna have those lights back.
There's an aspect to it that, I mean, I've posted photos of this before, and I know it was kind of a guilty pleasure for photographers, and the fact that if you had the right equipment, you had a soft, shallow depth of field, they literally turned into like these really smooth, kind of reflective elements in photos. But like when you post photos like that, there's so many people that tie that to a story. Like, hey, we were walking on the park one night and my kid noticed this and it stuck with me for the next 20 years. And I don't think Disney's going to let those stories just go undone. I think it'll be back to some extent, because that area is not really being like torn up per se. I mean, it's being redone, but it's not like completely going away. Like that walkway will be back. So I have a feeling there will be something.
But I have to bring 2 honorable mentions. Let me do that.
Oh, of course.
No, I really did. No,
You're pulling a Jason here. You're cheating on your own.
And I'm gonna bring, and it's going to be a stretch because it's not from Walt Disney World. It's not from Disneyland, California. And actually,
Incredible and Global?
We're going outside U.S. and we're going to France. We're going to Disneyland Paris. And I have 2 honorable mentions and 2 things that they did in terms of projection mapping and lighting. The first one is with the Phantom Manor. The Phantom Manor is the haunted mansion there. Mm-hmm. And is and actually I went there during the Halloween night in 2019. And they did, it's a brief video, but look what they did with the exterior of the mansion. Look, take a look. They project, and sometimes a little figure would appear peeking in the window. It's like that. It's pretty fun.
That was Jason.
Right. And the other thing is that they do have there what they call the adventure Île. It's like the adventure. It's the island of adventure, the adventure isle. It's a rock formation that it's like a skull next to a pirate ship. I have a video that shows that during the day, but what they do during the night is amazing also in terms of projection mapping lights. Take a look. And this was our top 3, and I hope everybody like it. Talking about liking it, don't forget to give your thumbs up for the episode, for the video.